This morning, I read one of the saddest pieces of news that I have ever read. We lost one of the most awesome people to have ever walked this planet, Mr. Ratan Tata. There are many reasons why I used to admire him. His being a business tycoon, not the least of those reasons. He was known for his business acumen, but what stood out for me is the kindness in his eyes and the poise that he had, showing very clearly that he was a very strong character and yet so very humble and soft and gentle when he needed to be. And there are so many things that so many people will tell you about him. I think it's very important now that he's no longer with us that we don't just talk about his greatness and his attributes, but instead imbibe some of those in our lives so some of his greatness can be retained in this world because God knows the world needs kindness and people like him who actually single handedly made such a huge impact on the world that it's for sure impacted millions, if not tens of millions of people, directly or indirectly. I think the best way to remember someone like him is to imbibe their best attributes and take them forward. I'm going to talk about a few of his quotes. These have been taken from various different talks and articles. And there are hundreds of these quotes, but I'm only going to be talking about a few in this video. And who knows, I might make a few more so we can all take this forward together. And because I said together, I'm going to talk about this one where he said, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together. This is so profound because there are so many places you can get to quickly if you walk alone or run alone or ride alone. But if you've got to get to a place which is difficult to get to and worthwhile, you've got to walk together with your people. And it's just something that we don't do enough. We've heard about far too many people who achieved so many brilliant things, but there are very few who've been able to take a lot of people with them to these great places. And these opportunities are present pretty much everywhere in our workplaces, in our personal lives, in our communities, in our social circles. There's so much to be done where if we can take people with us, if we can walk together, work on things together, there's so much good that we can achieve together. He also said that in the end, we'll only regret the chances we did not take. This, for me, is so relevant in so many ways because I believe in doing things, trying them out, and then finding out if it was worthwhile. Because I think it's very easy to see that of the things that we regret, it's only the ones we didn't try out are the ones that are going to make up the biggest regrets, because you can oftentimes think about failures as regrets, but really you only will know that you failed if you tried it out. If you did not try it out, you're sure to regret not having given it a shot at the least. And he also mentioned somewhere and I believe there are other people who have said this in different contexts, is that ups and downs are really important. Even something like an ECG, which tells you that you are alive, if it's a flat line, you pretty much aren't alive. So the ups and downs are the ones that keep us alive. So regretting failures shouldn't really be as big a problem, because yes, you'll think about it for a bit, but you'll know that you tried and you now know what happened. But if you don't give it a shot, you'll surely regret it, or you're very likely to regret it. He also talked about um, advice in two different contexts. He said the right advice changes from time to time because of various different factors. But doing the right thing is generally fairly obvious. Now, this is my interpretation of what he said, but it is generally fairly obvious as to what the right thing will be. If you take into consideration things uh, with a reasonable peppering of common sense, you will know what the right thing is. So long as your head and heart are balanced, the head helps you figure out all the logical things, and the heart helps you figure out all the things that you need to consider from various different perspectives, especially perspectives of people who are going to be impacted. So, doing the right thing is generally fairly obvious. And he said in another talk that you should just leave the advice and do the right thing, even if it isn't the easiest thing. Now, that's very, very pertinent. The right thing is more often than not among the hardest things to do, simply because if it were the easiest thing, everyone would be doing it, right? And when you look back at your life, what's going to matter is how many times you put in the effort to do the right thing. He also said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Now, this is easier said than done, but why not? Why not? Think about it. Why not give it a shot? Create the future that you want for yourself and for others around you. Never give up, he said, on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Now, this is something that plagues far too many of us, and myself included. There's so many things, and one of the things I must say was meeting Mr. Tata. I have been thinking about it for the longest time. I just am never going to forgive myself for not having done enough to go ahead and do it. I don't think it would have been that difficult. He was someone who was fairly approachable. I just waited far too long to take the step, making the time to go and hunt him down in way of knowing where he was and just waiting to meet him there. It could surely have happened. Anyway, it's something that I will regret for the rest of my life. It will be one of those things that I didn't end up trying, but that will not stop me from trying out the other things that I can't go a day without thinking about. So that's something that I think more of us should just get on with, really, because time is not going to wait for us. Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace, he said in some talk. Easy. Well, harder than most other things, because we often let our inner peace be destroyed by the behavior of people around us, oftentimes people not even around us. But the best of us, I think, manage to overcome this and keep our inner peace intact with what we have been able to get to, or we have been able to achieve with our lives, with our days. He talks about leadership in many different contexts. And I think one of the most important things he's ever said, and I'm going to make this the last one I talk about because I could go on for another few hours. But leadership, he says, is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. I don't think there are too many things that have been more profound among the things ever said. We look at leaders and talk about what they've achieved, what um, pinnacles of success they have achieved. Far too little has ever been said about leaders who have gone out of the way, gone and done the hardest of things multiple times to take care of people who depend on them. And I can safely say, even in my close circle, there are people who have encountered situations where Mr. Tata or someone from his team have gone out of their way to take care of the people in their charge. If each one of us can become a leader, even in our own contexts, within our families, within our work circles, within our communities, to take care of the people who can do with some help at different times, I think the world will already easily be a much better place to live in, because that's all we need: a little kindness, lot of humility, and a dollop of consideration in most things we do. Like I said, I could go on and on. There are just so many things that we can learn from the life of Mr. Ratan Tata. But I'm going to close this one here, and I'm very likely to put out another one with a few other lessons that I have learned from this amazing person who's um, walked the earth at pretty much the same time that where we're living now. I am going to close this video right now, and I hope some of us can take inspiration from this and do our bit to make this world more livable and kinder and nicer. Thank you, like always, for listening in. I appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next one.